I think we'll start first with the midterms, and just because it's so prevalent and they're coming up quick. So the first question comes from Clemmy and says, Mark, have you got anything beyond the midterms? So what do you see coming here with the midterms?
Well, the midterms, I believe, is going to be a red tsunami. It's not going to be a red wave. A lot of people have said this is going to be a blue wave. Well, no, it's not. This is going to be more like a blue drip. It's going to be like an annoyance, like a leaky faucet. That's what this is going to be for the Democrats. I think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see another Democrat in the White House for a long, long time, if ever again. At this point, I think they're just going to be decimated. I think but what's beyond that also is the corruption. I'm sure somebody's got questions in there about corruption or whatever the case may be. We can get into later, but all this stuff's going to get cleaned out. I mean, Trump's going to be in there for a second term. It's going to be another blowout on that election, because when everything that he's done so far, when all of this stuff, the economy is nowhere. I don't think it's anywhere near what it's gonna be, and it's already the best it's been in decades. So I just think that again, that prophecy where God spoke in America, where He said all the seeds that America has sown is going to come back sevenfold. We're going to see that. Now, are we going to have some problems along the way? Yes, there's going to be some issues along the way, especially when we make the mass arrests. When these arrests go down, it is not a time to fear. These things must take place. God is cleaning up the corruption. This is not bad news. I mean, we're going to have some civil unrest. They may declare martial law. Matter of fact, I really feel strong that martial law is coming, just so they can go in and round these people up, use the military rounding them up. But the point is that we are not to fear. God's in control. There are protective measures in place. God's protecting us. So these things have to happen. That's what I see coming right after the midterms. When that takes place, the timing of the actual roundup, that I don't know. I know the executive order he signed does not take effect until January, and he probably wants to have his people. The new Congress is not going to take effect until January as well, so he probably wants to have that backup once he rounds these people up as well. So that's pretty much what I see coming after the midterms.
Okay, great. And just there was a lot of questions that we both got about, like, when are things going to happen? This is going to happen, right. And I just want to kind of cover those all in one topic, because I excluded most of them. We don't really know. Is that basically you don't really know?
Correct. Yeah, correct. I mean, there's a plan in place. We all know it, especially those who follow Q. There's a plan in place, and it's God's timing, and people are getting frustrated. They're getting impatient. And what I keep telling people is, like, look, you have to understand something. We're up to 51,700 and change, maybe even more than that now at the time of this airs. Sealed indictments, and you could have multiple arrests per indictment. So do the math. I mean, you do not want people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama walking on a technicality. It takes time to put these cases together. And everybody says, well, Sessions is not doing anything behind the scenes. Well, yeah, we just found out that there's been a grand jury going on for months. I think it was over McCabe, I think it was, or somebody. So, I mean, there's things going on behind the scenes that people have to understand. And so we just have to be patient. We do our part. God will do his, and the last thing we want is these people walking on a technicality.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely be patient. All right, so the next question about the midterms is from Debbie. She says, when you say there's going to be a shakeup coming in the November elections, are you saying that all the states are going to be in for a shock, or maybe just some of them? Or will it just be a shakeup with who will win?
Well, I think that's just going to be, I think it's just going to be a red tsunami across the board, period. Local, state, federal levels. We've seen the most resignations we've ever seen in probably history as far as the Congress is concerned, Senate and the House. You got people that aren't running again, like Paul Ryan. So you're going to have a massive turnover right now. A massive turnover of governorships at the state level. So I mean, I think it's just going to be massive, period.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope people take that and say, oh, I'm excited. I'm going to go out and be involved, because we definitely have to be involved. You can't just sit down and hope it happens, but be involved for sure.
Good point, brother, because that's another good point, because we cannot sit on our behinds and not get out and vote. We have to have faith. Yes, I understand that, but we also have to do works as well. You know what I mean? We've got to do our part, and that is, if you know someone that's not wanting to vote as a Christian, they need to get out and vote. We need to do our part.
Absolutely. So that kind of wraps up the midterm topic. We had a couple more. Ginger, your question got answered. I didn't actually get to ask it, but it got answered, so that's the point. Anyway, so the next topic is more about the war and the violence that's potentially coming. Someone named Ingram asked, has God spoken to you about World War III?
No. Well, yes and no. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I think we're already in it, period. But this is a different type of world war. This is a shadow war. This is a covert war. It's not open warfare, ground warfare, so to speak. This is dealing with the cabal, the Illuminati, Luciferians, whatever you want to call them. They're all part of the same team, Kingdom of Darkness. This is a shadow war, basically, where this has never been attempted in the history of man. And I think God's going to absolutely just decimate the New World Order. I'm not so sure they're going to be able to recover from this. If they may, but I sense that they may or may not be able to recover from this, if ever again, because there's just, when they drop the hammer on these guys, and I believe there will be executions, and we both know that John McCain was executed, under military tribunals, and which is another reason why Judge Kavanaugh they're screaming so loud. They're trying to disguise it that it's abortion that they're worried about. That's not what they're worried about. They want a solid 5-4 vote for the military tribunals. Because if you notice the line of questioning for Lindsey Graham the other day, he said, hey, if someone who's a civilian commits treason, does it fall under civil or military? And he said military. And that put a shock wave. That put the fear of God in every one of them. That's why they're fighting this guy so hard. It's not Roe versus Wade yet that they're worried about. It's the military tribunals, because they know it's going to cost them lives and they're going to be executed. Wow.
Well, you said, this isn't a question, but I'm just curious, you said that McCain was executed. Obviously, there's a story of going around that he had brain cancers. That wasn't it?
Right. I don't think that was it, honestly, because then you had what came out the other day. Who was it? Kasich slipped up on an interview and on CNN and said that, he was basically executed. So it was a slip of the tongue. And it's like, you cannot, and I told someone this the other day, I said, look, when you watched John McCain's funeral and you saw the entire cabal right there in one spot, and they could have rounded them all up right there, man, if they wanted to, you know what I mean? Man, these people weren't smiling. I mean, they knew, but John McCain was a prophetic marker in time that we have moved from judgment to justice is now being served, period. And they know it. And they know that if they don't do something to stop this, they're next. So because John McCain was the number 3 guy, you had Barack Obama being number 1, Hillary Clinton being number 2, and John McCain being number 3. So if they can take down the head of ISIS, John McCain, you know what I mean? The number 3 guy out of all of this, they know they're next.
Wow.
So that's why they're scared to death. That's why they're screaming.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty incredible. Lisa asked, will our government turn on its people anymore after these tribunals?
Turn on them in the sense of, I don't know what you quite means by that, but if you mean like turn against us, no, they're not going to turn against us. What we're going to find out, I believe, is that the truth of what they had planned, and what they had planned with the FEMA camps, what they had planned for rounding Christians up or anybody who opposed the government was going to go into these FEMA camps. What you were going to see was another Holocaust, because they know America is the only thing standing between them and getting their new world order in place. So that's what they're scared of people finding out. They don't want people waking up and finding out this. I mean, even Bush 41 said one day, if the American people truly found out what we were doing, they'd lynch us. Well, see, they already know. So now the truth is being released. So when they start releasing some of this information, it's going to be Katie bar the door, man. And I think what's happening is they're trying, like the Q movement, the patriotic movement, they're trying to wake people up is what they're trying to do. Give them the truth so that they will say enough is enough. We're not going to stand for this, and probably get some marching going on, some protesting going on in Washington, and demand that they arrest these people so that, hey, it's not the government that's doing this. It's the people that demand these people be arrested. But the problem is we got to get more people involved here quickly. You know what I mean? So it's educating people. It's the Great Awakening. It's opening people's eyes and ears.
Great. That's good to hear. So Robert asks, do you know if we should be prepared for something happening because that causes us not to be able to go out and do our normal activities? So do we need to? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Because I do think, now I could be wrong. I'm not prophesying this. I just tell you what I'm sensing. I do think they're going to declare martial law at some point. I think, and even Q has alluded to it. There's been other prophetic people allude that there's martial law coming a long time ago. But they thought it was going to be under Obama, which that was their plan, was declare martial law, round everybody up, and that was it. Put them in FEMA camps that opposed them. But yes, you do need to be prepared. Even the president came out and said this is National Preparedness Month, and they said get some food, get some money, this kind of thing stocked up. Basically, kind of like what you would have in a hurricane, basically type thing. Because if they do declare martial law, if I've not read how martial law works, but I don't know if you're going to be able to travel the streets. And if that's the case, you need to have some stuff in your house for about a month or so.
So you view martial law as a good thing then?
I view martial law as a great thing under this administration. Under the last one, it was going to be meant. See, and I've been saying this for a long time, is that everything that the enemy meant for us, in other words, the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton, what they meant to do to us is now being turned back on them. So they were intending on using martial law to round people up and put them in these concentration camps, if you will. And I'm not even going to get started on the pastors that were involved in this, by the way. And I'm fixing to go, and it's been public before. So, but if they want to search that out, it's called the Clergy Response Team under the Homeland Security and FEMA. And the pastors, as of 2014, there were 28,000 pastors nationwide who were part of that. And I'm sure there's a bunch more right now. So, and I'm not even going to get started on that being a traitor, what these guys are. And they can search that out on their own. That's called the Clergy Response Team. But that was their whole plan all along. But under this administration, it's now to round them up. See, it's being turned against them now. So, yes, I see martial law as a good thing. Because also when you start looking at the civil unrest that's coming, it will also protect the people from that. Because this president's not going to put up with it like past presidents have. Like they've let burn cities down, this, that, and the other. I think it's going to be met with swift. Let's just say it's going to be met swiftly. Let's put it that way. Put a stop to it.
Okay. Well, that makes me a little nervous, but hopefully it turns out well.
It's got to happen, man. But it's no time to be walking in fear, though. That's when we got to put our heads down and say, this has got to happen. God's doing it. God's in control. And, we need to have the attitude. It's like, okay, let's bring it on.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's definitely an area of growth that I need to have then. So I'll be praying for that. All right. So we're going to transition into more people-focused things. A lot of people had different questions based on different people or even groups of people. So Lisa asks, how do you feel about Mueller, Sessions, and the Trump team or the Cabal team? So let's take it one person at a time. How do you feel? Like, what's your view on Mueller?
It's kind of hard to pinpoint what these guys are because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. It's kind of like President Trump and Sessions. Man, this is the greatest WWE act I've ever seen. You know what I mean? I mean, Sessions is doing stuff behind the scenes. Trust me. If President Trump wanted to fire him a long time ago, he could have fired him. He's the champion of firing people.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? This is a WWE act that's going on, man. I love it whenever these guys are sparring back and forth like this. And Sessions was not called the silent executioner for nothing. So I mean, I think it's to make their enemies at ease, where they think that there's issues going on, and then all of a sudden, wham, here comes the hammer. Now, as far as Mueller is concerned, that part I don't know. I'm not sure on. Who else was mentioned?
And then she says the Trump team, probably talking about the corruption or the seems to be a slight divide in the White House.
Yeah, and there's not. And this is where I have to tell people, you're always going to have one or two people who are going to cause trouble in the administration, period. But I mean, for the most part, I think it's a pretty tight-knit unit because God said I'm assembling the dream team in these prophecies that God gave me. And so that's what we have to believe in, that God's assembling his dream team. Don't listen to the media. If you listen to the media, Satan's frequency, like I've talked about before, they're going to make you think there's division in the White House. There's not. Go to the president's Twitter feed. I don't do a lot on Facebook anymore. Facebook has got me heavily censored right now. And so does Twitter. Twitter's, shadow banning me. So I'm mostly on Twitter now. The only reason I'm on Facebook right now at this point is for that group right now that I try to help them along and support them. You know what I mean? Because they're good people. But I mean, that's all I got on that. Honestly, I don't. They're not divided right now because if you listen to President Trump, he has said, no, we're not divided. That is fake news.